Welcome back to Perspectives. Yesterday was International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and with every year that goes by, a growing challenge to keep the memory of the Nazi genocide alive. We are privileged here to be joined in the studio by Holocaust survivor Sylvan Brachfeld and also Elad Shushan, the Executive Director of the social initiative Zikaron Basalon. Explain that to us in just a minute, but first, Mr. Brachfeld, share with us your story, please.
Hello, what are your questions? I would like to answer you.
Where were you when the war started?
I was born in Antwerp, and I was 10 years old. And in a Jewish school where I was in Antwerp, from the 32 boys, only 4 survived. All the others were killed by the Germans, deported and killed. And I took it as an aim to tell about the Holocaust as one of the 4 survivors. And this is the aim of my life.
And how did you survive?
Well, I think everything is done by miracles in the Shoah. And we flew to the French part of Belgium. I was born in Antwerp, which is the Flemish part, and I didn't speak even one word of French. And there we tried to get not an apartment, but a room, and to stay like Christians, as if we were Christians. My father had been arrested by the Gestapo because they were thinking that he was working with false identity cards, Belgian identity cards. He was beaten by the Gestapo for 24 hours. And then, because he didn't have any proof, they didn't have any proof, that was also a miracle. Because the false identity cards, the 2 we had, for my mother, for my father, were under my mother's body, and she was in bed to undergo appendicitis operation, and should have been gone to a Jewish department in a Belgian hospital. And the Germans said, well, we send you back to your family and to all the people after you will be cured. But we know that's all a lie. But they arrested my father and sent him to Poland, where he stayed 2 or 3 months and then was beaten to death by one of the guards. 4 people, among them a cousin of my mother, came back from this camp and told us the story.
So you survived the war by pretending to be a Christian child?
Absolutely.
Was it difficult to keep up the deception?
Yes and no. It was not difficult because to be a Catholic boy, the prayers were not very difficult. I had first to learn French, which was very simple for me. It took just a small time. But I was hidden also in a Catholic convent. And there, I couldn't believe my eyes. The first night when I arrived there, I looked around me. I was the Flemish boy, and all the others there were from the French part of Belgium. And I looked around, on the 36 beds, there were 11 Jews.
All 11 Jewish boys hiding in this Catholic convent?
Yeah.
Enough for a minion.
And this, yes. And in the department of the girls, there were also Jewish girls. This I learned later. And we all survived. We all survived, and that's, I must say, we have to thank these nuns for what they did. They were wonderful.
So these nuns knew that you were Jewish and were hiding you?
Yeah.
Tell me, after the war, we look back in hindsight and say, okay, the war was over, the Holocaust ended, but it can't have been clear initially that you were out of the danger zone. At what point did you realize that it was safe to come out of hiding?
Well, even the last moment was very dangerous for me, because at a certain moment the nun said, we're going to make some changes in the convent, you go home. Home means to go to the people, the couple who has hidden us without children. They didn't know even what is a Jew. And they gave us their bed and their food, because Belgium at the moment of the war had ration cards. And we had to share food for 2 people. We were 5. And these people were wonderful, wonderful. Now, I had to go back by train from Verviers, which was on the border of Germany, to Namur, and there to take a small tram to go back to the village. But what happened is that when I arrived at the station, Cologne in Germany had been bombed this night by 500 RAF planes. But they didn't destroy the station, and after 2 hours the train arrived, and I was so hungry, and it was very hot, and I went in a closed apartment. In the train there was a corridor, a passage, and on the side all kind of small cubicles like this with 4 and 4 seats. And when I came in and I sat down, I looked in front of me, 2 high German officers of the German Navy. And you know the difference from your knees to their knees is like you have in the buses here. And then I looked on the left, was a man in civilian clothes, a Gestapo man from Germany. And at that moment, well, I had a small piece of bread. I finished my piece of bread and took a booklet to read something, because I had to travel about 1.5 hours to my destination. But I understood very well German, because my mother came from Germany. So I heard what they said, we go to Paris and we will enjoy. It will be very, very good. So what they said then is, they talked about Paris, and at that moment, when we were already 40 minutes on our way, the Gestapo said in German, "This boy looks me very Jewish."
Oh dear. How did you get away?
Well, the miracle came, and you would not believe it. The 2 German officers started laughing and looked at them. Don't you see this Catholic boy from Belgium?
So a lucky escape in the end.
Those 2 officers rescued my life, saved my life.
Extraordinary. Elad, you are the executive director of Zikaron Basalon. You've heard, I'm sure, so many stories like this. Tell us briefly what that initiative is.
It's a social initiative that started about 8 years ago regarding some sort of void that the young people felt in Israel about to go to ceremonies, to see the movies, the black and white movies on TV, and they felt that something is lacking. Something is lacking to commemorate the Holocaust, to cherish the memory. And a living room was formed with a few young people, a Holocaust survivor, same as Sylvan. They came and shared the story, and afterward they discussed and they talked about the importance of the memory and the importance of them taking that lead and that ownership on the memory. And that's something that just took off.
So how many such events are held now every year?
You have thousands of events. Last year alone, we had over 500,000 people participating.
500,000 people in living rooms listening to stories that we're privileged here to bring on TV. Sylvan, Brachman and Elad Shushan, thank you so much. It's been an engrossing conversation. Unfortunately, we have to go for a break. Thank you both very much for coming here and sharing that with us.